It's Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualise, my asexual life. This is supposed to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. So, if you haven't already subscribed, hit that great big bell icon as you subscribe right here, right now. So, yes, today I'm going to be discussing the film I Want to Dance with Somebody by Whitney Houston. Well, it's not by Whitney Houston, it's all about Whitney Houston. So if you love the singer Whitney Houston, this is a drama biography of her life, basically. If you don't like spoilers, please do not watch this episode. If you want to know more about Whitney Houston, I Want to Dance with Somebody, then keep listening. So yes, Whitney Houston is a singer who sadly died in 2012, recorded accidental drowning. And it's really interesting to see in the movie what led up to the possible accidental drowning. It's very interesting because I think always when something like that is recorded as accidental, you do still have a question in your mind is, was it really accidental or was it intentional? So as you go through the movie, you see Naomi Aki, I think that's how you pronounce her name, as the lead role playing Whitney Houston. And basically it tells the life story of Whitney and how she basically had a controlling father and at times an overbearing mother. But her mother had her best interests at heart and really wanted her to sing really well and to actually flourish in her singing career. And her mother does stick by her in the movie, but her mother pushes her really, really hard. So mother's in the movie is a singer herself, and she pushes Whitney really, really hard to just improve and get better and better, and particularly to feel the songs. She tells Whitney that basically every song is a story, and if a song is not a story, then it basically shouldn't be sang. It should only be sang if it can be a story, and there should be emotion, heart, and feeling. So she should change the tonality of the way she sings and how she sings it in order to get a story told rather than just being monotone or, not coming to life, as it were. So I think that's very important thing to know, because I think, a lot of songs do tell a story. Sometimes it's a very short story, a repetitive story. Other times it's much more in depth, but particularly when, Whitney's very famous for doing ballads, love ballads and big, powerful love songs. So I think that's very interesting. So the film starts off, like I said, with a controlling father, overbearing mother. The she's overbearing the mother at times, but she's also really wanting Whitney to do well. Whereas the father's very controlling, very out for himself, very dominating, is abusive towards her mother. So he isn't a good guy in the film, although, obviously they try to show little bits of his character that might seem good. So as the film progresses, you see the young Whitney Houston, and she's very, very ambitious, and she's full of like life and soul, and she knows what she wants from a very young age, and she likes to live her own life, be an individualist, and she just likes to enjoy her life, joy her singing career. She's very kind of much more sweet and innocent in the beginning of the movie, and it's based on the true life story of Whitney Houston, who is one of my older favorite singers, if you like. I Want to Dance with Somebody is actually the title of the movie, but it's also the title of one of the most famous songs, and I absolutely love that song. It's one of my favorite songs, love songs ever told, written, whatever you want to say. So anyway, she starts off as this young, bubbly girl. She's got really short hair though. And what I didn't know about Whitney is that she loved a female at one point. So in the movie, this shocked me because I didn't know anything about this. And so basically, she leaves home from a young age, leaves her mother and father, which she's really happy about because they was arguing and fighting. And her girlfriend takes her to live with her, and so they end up like sharing kiss with each other, end up having this very loving, caring relationship. She's dressed her partner's dressed more like a guy, but her herself's got short hair at this point, and you can tell they really love each other. It's a very best friendship sort of love, but a very genuine love. Um, and he really cares. I say he because it's like a non, I'm guessing he's like a trans type of person, but without transitioning. Um, but it's like her female best friend. They don't say it's a guy, but they dress like a guy, got a guy's name. So yeah, anyway, well, a guy, well, a name that could be a guy or a girl's basically. And anyway, so they have this very loving, caring relationship, and I didn't know anything about this. And in terms of the movie, her producer's supposed to know about it. She signs a contract to get a record deal, and this is where all her life starts to change. Her dad has written clauses in there that basically makes sure he gets a lot of money and power and control over her music and her life in that way. But she doesn't really realize this at the time. She's just so excited to get her voice out there, to be an up and coming artist, to be famous, to be a famous singer, and her girlfriend supports her a lot. You know, she supports her an immense amount. I'm saying she because she's still identifies, I think, as female in the movie, even though she's got a probably non-binary. It's the best way of describing her, trans non-binary, but she's still classed as female in the movie because it's kind of a big undertone of the fact they're having a lesbian relationship, but it was frowned upon in those days. So that relationship is very healthy, but things take a turn when she gets into the limelight and is going for a career, because she basically decides to accept what her dad says is the fact that their relationship, the lesbian relationship, can't be shown publicly, which is a shame. And her dad basically says to date guys. This is when the trouble starts. She would have been better staying with her girlfriend, but she doesn't. Basically, as she wants to give the world the American princess that everyone wants her to be. So she's got this really strong kind of idealistic view that other people have of her, or she assumes they have of her, and that she has to keep up. And this is like America's princess. You get to know throughout the film she's called the Voice, and she's basically won awards that stand the test of time even now, that she's passed into another life for over 10 years. So the movie is very good, I think, at telling her life story. There's a lot of stuff that I didn't know. Obviously, some of it's changed for dramatic purposes. So you got to use your discretion and caution with that. But it shows that her producer knew that she was in a lesbian relationship, that he was fine about it, and that her girlfriend was with her a lot of time. But once her dad says, you can't show this lesbian relationship, you've basically got to show the world that you're into guys. He encourages her, or tells her basically she's got to basically look to be with guys in the public eye. So then she starts hanging around with guys, kissing guys, and that's when she starts getting herself into trouble, because she then starts sleeping with guys, and then her girlfriend gets really hurt and they have a massive fight. But Whitney says she still needs her best friend. So at that point, that's when they become best friends, and her girlfriend accepts the fact that they're not going to be together in a relationship, but she doesn't totally accept it, because she knows that really she's the best thing for Whitney, but she accepts it because she loves Whitney, you know. And so basically she starts seeing other women, but still, while you can see throughout the film that she truly loves her. And throughout the movie, it's obvious to me that, if Whitney had stayed with the female and, had that type of relationship, that she probably would stay very happy, and she wouldn't have turned to drugs, which is what happens in the movie. She gets involved with Bobby Brown, who is a real life famous singer. This is like fiction, but it's based on their real relationship. And he's already got someone else pregnant when he proposes to Whitney, and it's just heading for trouble. He doesn't treat her very well at all. And then because they get married, and Whitney knows that he's got another girl, his ex-girlfriend, pregnant, then, and basically it looks like he's still sleeping around or sleeping with his ex because she comes home one night to be with him and he's not there. So he's a really bad guy in this movie, and I think in real life he's quite notorious for not being good to Whitney at times. And and they have a kid together and she loves the kid a lot, but Bobby Brown, she's just got to get out of her life as a relationship. It was unclear to me, excuse me, it was unclear to me in the end whether they were actually still in a relationship again or not, because there was another kid right at the end and it looked like she'd had another kid by Bobby Brown. And also there was a song that she sang which was about not walking away. So it looked like she was still with him, and got back with him at the end, which was a little bit sad if that's true, because she actually had songs before that which was empower women to walk away and stay in their personal power and know they don't need a guy and be in control of their own life. So I didn't quite get the ending. I thought it was a bit abrupt in that way. I'm like, how did it transition from they're not together to he sat in the audience with another kid, unless that was his kid by a previous relationship? But I don't think so, because that kid would then be grown up to be the same age as Whitney's first child, which clearly the first child was a lot older. So I presume it must be that she was with him in the end. But they kind of like skipped that bit, which was a bit sad because I didn't get it. So the bit before that was all about Whitney finding herself. She got into drugs. Bobby Brown like encouraged her to do drugs, and her best friend became her like artistic director. But as Bobby Brown got more and more possessive as a husband towards Whitney, it drove her best friend, ex-girlfriend, if you like, apart. And she couldn't put up with it anymore, and she hated seeing Whitney like being treated that way by Bobby Brown, and Bobby like saying he's taking care of her when really he's just encouraging her to do drugs and more drugs. So she goes to rehab, and unfortunately, at the end of rehab, she did an amazing night performing all the major songs, which is when you see Bobby with another kid, which I presume is hers, as it looks like got back together in the end. And then, they record a verdict of accidental death by drugs in the bath at the end, and that's how her life ends. But the way they portray it in the movie, it's like she damaged her vocal cords because she'd been doing drugs for like 10 years or whatever it was, and that really affected her voice, and therefore lots of people criticized her, saying you're not as good as you used to be. But there was like there's a few people that still believed in her, and she took the criticism to heart. But she did this one night and she came back and was amazing. And it's after that one special amazing night where her voice came back and she was incredible and everyone was cheering for her that her life ended. And it's like, did her life really end as an accident, or did she just think to herself, well, I've been like a failure for all these years and now I'm going to take these drugs because I just don't want to end on a bad note. I want to end on a high, and I've got my voice back and I want people to remember me for the gorgeous voice I had, but it's just too much for me and now I'm bowing out. That's kind of like what I got from the movie, that maybe that's what actually happened, even though they recorded accidental death. Obviously, like, that's what they recorded in real life, but it does make you wonder, did she do that one final night to say, look, I'm here, I'm back, my voice is amazing, and to end on good notes so that no one would criticize her again and she would just leave on a high knowing that she'd done the best? Or was it definitely accidental? Because it looked like she did have another kid, and why would she give all that life up with her kids, But clearly she got into a lot of difficulties with drugs and she just became addicted, and her producer talked to her about it, but she just didn't want to listen to him. And she finds out her dad is really bad and he's been taking her money, and all he cares about is money. He doesn't really care about her. And because she goes to hospital when he's in a lot of trouble with his life, basically, and his life hangs on the balance. And basically he says, oh, you're going to pay me all the money back you owe me. She's like, what money? He's like, oh, because I signed a new contract for you, that's my money. But you spent a load of money on bailing Bobby Brown out, but where's my money? And shortly after that he dies. So she said, "I'm not your princess anymore," because he's really aggressive in that. It's all that cares about the money, not her. Um, and so, I just found the film very interesting. I really liked hearing um the story as I've not heard it before, if you know what I mean. I liked knowing what happened to Whitney because I did like Whitney Houston a lot. I thought she's a fantastic singer. I did look up to her probably as a teenager in the sense that I thought she had amazing voice, and I just thought she had a nice personality as well. She came across that way. And I loved a lot of Whitney's music, and in the movie it's played throughout the music is played throughout the movie, so it's like a musical in that way, but it's very much storyline based. And Naomi Aki that plays Whitney Houston, I thought she was singing, but according to a review, she's lip syncing. However, on the credits, because I always go to the credits at the end, it does say that Naomi performed like at least two of the songs, two or three of them. So I'm assuming she didn't lip sync throughout the whole lot of them because it specifically said her name on at least a couple of them. Liam, hi, beautiful Sandra. You are a beautiful person. Oh, thank you, Liam. Lots of love to you. Nice to see you. So I did really like, the fact they played a lot of music. It's really nice to like, like move your feet to. It was very sad in the end though, because obviously with the fact that, it was a death by accident apparently. And they said what happened to Whitney. And then they played Higher Love at the end on the credits. And they also played this other song, which was like, like don't think, like basically when you're thinking of me, like don't focus on that I'm going away, just focus on like the now or whatever. I can't remember what the lyrics are. I don't even know that song, but it's basically really sad, like don't think about me type thing, like remember me for who I was, but don't think about me now, don't worry about me. And I'd not heard that song before, and it's really, really sad. And I did cry in the cinema because it's very emotional. And because I think it's sad that if that's her life, basically she was very sweet and innocent, full of life and full of ambition, and she went through like being in a loving, caring, committed relationship with a woman, to her parents frowning upon that, and her her love life being concealed in that way, and the fact she then ended up with guys who are bad for her. I think sometimes in life, sometimes we make mistakes and we go for something that looks good because that's what everyone in society dictates to us, but actually in reality we'd be better off sticking to what we had in the first place. But she specifically says to her girlfriend in the movie that she wants a child, she wants to get married, she wants that life. And so back in them days, I guess it wasn't so well known that women can like get married or women can adopt kids. But I think even like we're talking like the film ends in 2012, so and she's 48, I think they said, when she died. So it's not with it out realms of possibility. But I think she meant she wanted a traditional marriage and kids with a husband. But that was more important to her, and the fame was more important to her than being in a loving, caring, committed relationship with a woman who was her best friend, who was always stood by her. She cared more about Whitney than anyone, according to the movie, more than Bobby Brown, more than her mum or dad. She gave her the love and care and attention and stood by her that she needed. And I think it's sad that Whitney didn't actually stay with her. I mean, obviously, she wouldn't have had kids and they wouldn't exist if she hadn't have been with Bobby Brown, but in theory. But, those specific kids anyway wouldn't. They should have had to adopt or something similar. So, it was a very touching movie. I loved the music. I loved the flow of the movie was very good. You got really good insight, I think, into her life and how it was for her and how it was emotionally hard and everyone was expecting stuff of her and it just became too much for her. And that, that she did have true love and kind of gave that up for conventional life, for fame and fortune, but really it destroyed her inside, it destroyed her emotionally, it just tormented her, and was very difficult. So I would recommend going to see the movie. Obviously it is sad at the end, but I would recommend, if you like Whitney, if you love her and are a fan of hers, to really go and see it, because I do think it's a fantastic movie. It's on for about 2.5 hours, including the trailers, so about 2 hours, and it's really, really good, insightful. I thought Naomi, who played the lead role, is absolutely fantastic in it. Very, very similar to Whitney in lots of ways. I had hoped that she would have been singing the songs herself, but it seems Whitney was doing most of the work, even though she's not here anymore. So in person. Anyway, do check it out. I want to dance with somebody, I should say. I want to dance with somebody. Whitney Houston, like, tribute biography film. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell icon. And just to confirm, this film does not actually show any sex whatsoever, so I class it as a no sex movie. But obviously she did have kids, but you didn't see her having sex to have kids, and you did see Bobby Brown kissing her quite passionately. But again, there wasn't any sex shown, and it wasn't focused around sex. It was focused around Whitney's feelings, career, and how her life changed for the better and worse during her career. So, yep, definitely, I think one that asexuals can watch, especially if you're sex repulsed asexual. I think you'll be fine about this film. Anyway, love to know what you think in the comments below. Take care, subscribe, and like I said, hit that bell icon so you never miss an episode. Lots of love. Bye. Thanks for being here, Liam, in chat. Bye.